I'm good. I'll explain later. You're
Year. Third time's a charm.
third time's a charm. We have this is our third time trying to record this. There have been some technical difficulties, some non-technical difficulties, but we're up now. We were trying to talk about Mexico City, how Marco is there right now in an Airbnb, and I was there 2 weeks ago, or I guess a week ago, with some friends. And why don't you start by talking about the conversation that you had with Helena?
Yeah. So we were also talking about how, I don't know, just comparing and contrasting New York City to Mexico City. Um, Honestly, fairly similar in size. I think Mexico City is about 10 million, New York's 8 million. So fairly similar. But yeah, my roommate David and I were talking about what makes it seems like one big factor of why Mexico City is so great is there's like the zoning laws just don't seem to exist. So you have like a auto body shop turned into like a cafe, or like an old church turned into like a restaurant, and everything is just like
Mhm.
you have old and new just piled all together, and it's just like, I don't know, it's just this like beautiful mosaic of like architecture and like, I don't know, business. And yeah, I don't know, I've just like loved it here overall. I wish I spoke Spanish. I feel like that has been like a big bottleneck,
Mhm.
but it definitely has made me miss New York in many respects. Like New York, you pay through the nose, but yeah, there's just so much culture and so many people around. But I'm sure that probably feels very similar here if you know people and you speak Spanish. So
Mhm.
yeah, that was my take on it.
Yeah, I was blown away how beautiful of a city, at least the parts of the city that I saw and walked around in are. I think our Airbnb is pretty close to where you're staying, maybe a few blocks away,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the area is just beautiful. It just makes me think like, why can't New York have like more trees on the streets and you know, it just feels like I mean, the West Village kind of approaches that feeling, right? Because New York is just
Sure.
so many skyscrapers and stuff that, in a lot of ways, I think skyscrapers destroy the charm of a city. Um,
I think it's interesting in New York because you have like, right, it's like Midtown, more north, you have these skyscrapers, and then like Flat area, you have these skyscrapers, and in between, there's just like, generally lower level buildings. And my understanding is that's because like the
it's a
bedrock
bedrock.
in Manhattan is a lot lower there, so you can't build these big skyscrapers. But I think
Hmm.
there is some charm of like driving around and having being surrounded by massive cities. I mean, massive buildings. But I agree,
Hmm.
there's like definitely a lot of charm to the West Village and things like that. There's what have you met my friend Kobe?
Maybe I don't know.
He's
Possible.
like big into urban planning, and he like studied architecture and like does a bunch of real estate. I forget the name of the word, but he basically said like you can get a lot of charm in the city when you look down a street and there's not a very long sight of distance, basically. So like in the West Village, the
Mm.
grid kind of breaks. So you have like it feels much more neighborhoody. Whereas if you go whatever like Bryant Park, it's like it feels
You
much
see
more
down
urban.
to the whole thing.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a sense in the West Village that you can just walk around and get lost, even if you know where you are. But the grid system, sort of north of 14th Street, is just so it's like too perfect, you know?
Right. It's nice for
Uh,
navigating, but
mhm.
it definitely everything. Yeah, it definitely comes with a hefty cost.
Dude, I met someone recently that said they wanted to live in Midtown, and I'm like, what? What is wrong with you? Midtown is the
Hilarious.
worst. Like, why
Hilarious.
would you ever
I
live in
remember.
Midtown?
I remember someone's friend. We all went to drinks, and like their parents came, and the dad was like, "Oh yeah, I'm thinking about buying like an apartment in like Times Square." And I was like, "He's like, is that a good idea?" I was like, honestly, so to one extent, like obviously not for like living there, but to another extent, like if you can one either Airbnb it out, or two, like you're gonna sell it to another like foreigner, then yeah, it might honestly hold its value pretty well.
Hmm.
But like no New
To
Yorker I
live
know
there,
would
0%.
like, yeah, it's zero, zero.
Yeah, I wouldn't live in Times Square. I would rather live outside of the city than live in Times Square. Like I would live in
100%.
like a different state. I would move to a different state if the only option was Times Square.
I'd rather live in like Greenwich than like or whatever, like Connecticut.
Connecticut. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I don't think I've ever met
but
anyone
yeah,
who lives in Times
it's
Square.
wild that people.
Oh, you know who
I
lives
don't
in
even
Times
know like.
Square?
Uh,
You know who lives in Times Square? Remember
uh,
those two girls that we met at Benny's thing? Left or left and
yeah.
right?
Oh, they she lived in Times Square. Yeah.
One of them lives in Times
Interesting.
Square. And I remember when she told
Interesting.
me, I'm like, what? She's from like Alabama or something, so
Mm. Yeah, yeah.
makes sense.
David and I have been talking a lot about the like principal agent problem that Naval like talks
Yeah,
about. And for context, for people listening, it's that like basically like one side. I'm not going to describe this perfectly, but basically one side has a lot of relevant information, the other side does not, and like there's this with due to that asymmetry, like people can be like taken advantage of, and um, yeah. So we were talking a lot about that, and I definitely feel like visiting here, like we probably could have got a spot that was not as expensive, but whatever. And I feel like same thing if people are moving from like outside from another country or another state, like
yeah.
Times Square. I already know Times Square, so it's a fine area. But obviously, a few Reddit threads, would know where to go.
It's like buying halal outside a museum. And you're gonna pay
Literally,
$9. Like
literally,
that's wrong.
sure.
That's
Or even
incorrect.
a hot dog or anything, like
I don't
way
think
more
I've gotten a
expensive.
hot dog on the street in over a decade. I don't know
That's
anyone who gets the hot dogs.
bro. That like is the equivalent of like a vaccine. Like you never get
Yeah,
sick if you eat one
facts.
of those.
Mm.
Like
You get
Pfizer literally
Robert
just went.
Moses' revenge.
Literally. Be looking like the East River.
Oh my god.
Um,
Honestly, haven't had
yeah,
halal in a really long time too.
yeah. I feel like halal guys is kind of like
Taking over.
it's probably some in Miami. I think we've seen one, but that's
There's
like
one in Brickell.
yeah. There's probably one in Mexico City somewhere too, but
Maybe. I don't
there's
know
like
though,
no
with
point eating.
the amount of pork that people eat in Mexico. Like,
Right.
dude, I had so much good food, but I definitely had like the beast of stomach aches. Like, not really when I was there, but when I came back, I mean, I think I got what is known as Montezuma's revenge, but it lasted like a week.
I
And in the
think you got
beginning,
like Giardia, honestly. Jay
but
got that when
how?
we went camping, and probably from water somehow, because that like lasts like 5 days to a week, like because it's like a full parasite. Like
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's still not I'm not 100% better,
sure,
but I'm like mostly better.
it's wild to see how developed this city is in many ways, but then like yeah, like water isn't good. Like you can definitely kind of smell sewage once in a while, like if there's a big like rainstorm. Like I don't know. I mean, I guess it's a pretty. I mean, it's very capital intensive to do a project of that size, but still,
Dude, I might have had Giardia.
yeah. Ask Jay. We'll chat with Jay. Like when we were backpacking in Glacier, and he
He
just put
drank
his
the
water
water.
bottle. He just put it under this like spring, and like I don't think he put an iodine tablet in it because we were always like boiling it or putting an iodine tablet, and I've never
Mhm.
seen someone so flatlined in my life. Like Jay is like Energizer Bunny in many respects, like for adventure and
Mhm.
stuff, and he was flatlined, like absolutely like looked like he got hit by a bus. Like
Yeah, I was pretty bad for a few days.
yeah,
First time I ever had something like that, so it was interesting.
yeah,
But yeah, it was just time. I mean, like I would
yeah.
wake up and then middle of the night, one night I'd be shivering, and the next night I'd be like sweating, like
Right,
I had
right.
to like super hot, and I lost like 7, 8 pounds because I just couldn't
Yeah,
like
keep stuff down.
anything I ate just
Went
came
through.
out 2 hours later.
We 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 started feeling sick like like I started feeling sick like during the night, but then David started feeling sick in the morning, and for like whatever reason, we were just like, oh, we should fast today, like not realizing that we were like going to be fully sick. By the next morning, like
I felt so
everything in our
bad.
body had left, plus fasting, we were like zombie. Like I've never been like that was the worst fast, no question. Like, but our
Yeah, I
bodies
think
like
that's
cleared out
not
pretty.
because when you're like getting sick and shitting your brains out and throwing up, you need to replenish your body's like electrolytes and bacteria and stuff
100%,
like that. Yeah.
100%. And we were
No, I've been eating quite a bit.
the funniest thing too was when we broke our fast, we literally got like fried like fish tacos. We had like coffee. We had like something else that was greasy. Like and then we looked up like what to not eat after you've been like sick, and we literally checked every
Fish,
single box.
fried food,
Yeah.
cheese.
Yeah, it was like we checked every box, and we're like, we are actually like the biggest idiots. Like,
Mhm. Yeah, dude, but that food in Mexico City is just too good.
I know.
So what have been some of the biggest hits so far, food-wise?
Honestly, we just like to like we haven't done like really nice. Didn't we like a nicer like Cuban
No,
spot?
but
Whatever,
even
but
like
like
street tacos. Do you know like
yeah.
street tacos you've been to? The names of those places?
I have them all just like marked down. I don't remember the names, but the place we went for lunch today, we got 5 Al Pastor tacos, like nice sized tacos. Was like US like $3.50, and like better than maybe everything except for like Los Tacos number one in New York. And
Is
like
that place good?
that place, I've had better tacos down here, but I would say hands down the best in New York, and like better than even many of the tacos here. They make the tortillas fresh. Everything's like super fresh.
My
They're
friend
dotted
told me
around.
that
There's
they
one like a
do
block
a
down the street.
my friend told me that they do a morning California burrito, like a breakfast California burrito.
Yo,
Might have to hit that up.
we should go. There's one like 5 minutes from my apartment, so we'll definitely go.
Yeah, we'll go when you're back. You get back what?
Yeah.
You said the 24th?
Yeah. And you're gonna be, what do you got? A week? So you
A
move in?
week and a few days, yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
I'm pretty excited, yeah. Pretty excited. I just bought this bed that I've been like wanting to buy for a long time, and they went on a 30% off sale, so I just whoosh, swooped in.
Yeah. What type of bed? I spent like weeks researching beds.
It's like a floating platform bed. It's by this company called Floyd. They're based out of Detroit, and they do like their whole thing is like modular, basically modular furniture. So things that you can easily take apart and put back together.
This is a bed
So
frame?
it's a bed frame, yeah.
Gotcha. Oh, I was talking about the mattress. Gotcha.
No, I'm getting a mattress from my girlfriend. She has
Yeah.
2 in storage, and she's just gonna give me 1.
Nice.
But the bed is yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. It's very pretty.
I'm
And
sure
I
it's
got
like elegant
basically
looking.
like yeah, it's elegant, and it's one of these things that is very like durable, so it'll last me a long time.
Sure.
And thinking of getting the Dyson handheld vacuum, even though like people have said there's better vacuums, I just like it. It's like it like makes cleaning. I get hyped cleaning with it,
Enjoyable.
you know.
I
I
thought
get
you had
excited
the
to
one that
use
was
it,
like,
yeah.
I thought you had
I had
the
the
store
Duke,
brand version.
but I'm gonna leave that at my parents' place for them.
Okay. Do you know you can go to, if you go to like an allergy doctor or something like that, and whatever copay is like $30, you can get them to write a note, and you can pay with HSA, FSA
Mhm.
money. So then it's like 50% off.
Wow.
Have you not? Did you sign up for FSA, HSA?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's pretty elite.
Marissa
That's
did it,
effort,
and like
though.
I mean, it's very like most people are allergic. I mean, yeah, but you could probably even do a teledoc. I don't know if you have like One
Mhm.
Medical, and you can just like FaceTime someone, and they can write a prescription like on the spot. So,
I mean, no, it's definitely worth it. Definitely worth
but I
it
know
because
it's like
I have my HSA from City like lying around.
Sure.
So I got to do something with that.
You get a like one of the Roomba ones, and then you have your handheld, and then you just let the other thing do its thing.
Yeah, I'm thinking
They're
about
like, you can
that.
get one for like $150.
Are they like elite?
There's one that I can tell you that like it's, I think the company makes the like Anchor batteries. They make a vacuum. It's like $130, $150, and it's like supposed to be phenomenal.
You got it for your mom,
But
right?
it's not like the elite one. That's another thing. Say that again.
You got it for your mom, right?
Yeah, there's different tiers. This is another thing, like bed forever researching cards. The robo vacuum one, I spent a really long time researching. There's like different ways they navigate and different like sensors they have to navigate the the home. And there's ones, if you spend like the 250 like dollar range, you get ones that are like super accurate and great. The one that's like 150 bucks is like randomly goes, but apparently it's like the best random navigating one that you can get.
What's like the
Yeah.
best of the best?
So the best of the best is this one that's like
Like if you have a
350. I have
blank
to
check.
remember the best you can get, I've heard, is it's roughly like $350. I'll look up the name and mention it or put it in our notes. And it's this company from China, and it does like mopping and vacuuming, and it like, you know how like Google's car uses LiDAR, right? It like sends out this like wave of lasers.
Mm-hmm.
It has a LiDAR emitter and sensor on it, and it can like super accurately map your house and like not bump into anything. A big feature is like not running over like dog shit if you have like a dog. And it also, you can set up like virtual barriers. Let's say like, I don't know, you were doing a puzzle on the floor and you don't want it to go there. You can just like on your app, like just it maps your whole house out. You can like set up an area where it doesn't go. But many people have spoke about on Reddit that many of these Chinese vacuums actually like they like were watching the requests they were make, and yeah, they were sending data to like these unknown servers. So some people like strip them down and like reload them and like clean them out so that they're like not sending those requests, but that's like insane amount of work. So the one I ended up getting was the one Shark, which is like US made and is probably like 80% as good, but not as sketchy. So especially because it's mapping your home and like your like work pattern and life pattern. So.
See, vacuuming is one of those chores I actually enjoy. Like if I could get something that like
Interesting.
a robot that as soon as I'm done eating takes my plate, rinses it, and then puts it in the dishwasher, I would invest in that. Because even like getting up to put stuff in the dishwasher sometimes, I'm just like, ugh, I don't want to do that. What else? Laundry? Like if there was a laundry
I thought that's what
robot,
relationships are for. I thought that's what relationships are for.
Thanks.
Laundry, yeah.
If there was a laundry robot, I hate laundry.
Dude, so in Japan, it's like extremely common to have a washer dryer unit. Like it's like one singular unit. I mean, like obviously you can't do as much laundry if you have two, but like that's so convenient. Just like you don't have to move it. You just put your clothes in, put soap, washes, and then once it's done, it starts drying. And it's like, I'm surprised there hasn't been like a big US importer, because I feel like, especially in New York, like that is worth its weight in gold. And like,
yeah. How did your experiment go with the backpack? The laundry backpack.
So I wrote up about it, but I think if I did a smaller load, it potentially could work. But overall, logistically, it just like doesn't make sense. I think it could make sense if you are backpacking, yes, but like in this case, it absolutely wasn't. But I think there's some solution in between where it could be like some like manual like or some electric mini washer that could work really well, but I don't think that exists right now. And I also don't think there's a reason it should exist, because like most people outside of New York have washer dryers and like don't need it. But yeah,
I'm really into the idea of just, if you're fortunate enough to be able to do this, just to automate a lot of the like chore stuff that you have to do. Like I don't know how I feel about a laundry service, because I think there is like a incentive misaligned. It's like an agency problem, like you said. But investing in either like grocery delivery or just a meal prep service altogether, where like I don't have to think about cooking, because I think like with working out, definitely the bottleneck has always been the food, like the eating aspect. Just you're tired, you don't want to prepare. Oh, you went out on Sunday with friends, you didn't prepare your food, now you're messed up for the week.
You should follow There's a guy on
Go ahead.
YouTube who like builds an incredible system that like is really easy to follow, and it allows you to like fail multiple times and it still work really well.
For meal
I'll send
prepping?
it to you. For meal, like he makes meal prepping prep, and then he does like a whole series on like freezer prep of like really healthy like chicken nuggets, really healthy like protein pancake. It's like basically like it has so much resiliency in the system because like your freezer like packed with really healthy like good bulking food.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
Yeah. You get with your card, you get free Instacart for a year now. So and it, like
Really?
it's you pay basically exactly like grocery prices, and I mean the only real extra fee is like $10 tip, whatever, depending how much groceries you get.
I mean, I was looking to just do the Amazon Prime credit card and then
Mhm.
use Whole Foods delivery because it's like 5% back on groceries,
That's
which
what I've
adds up
seen.
over time. Like groceries, maybe like $200 a week, $150 a week. You get, I don't know, like anywhere from
Whatever.
like $7 to $10 back. That covers the tip, right? Um, and the delivery fee or whatever. So that
It
can,
Whole Foods still charges you, but Prime delivery doesn't. And you don't need the card for that. You just need a Prime membership. But the 5% back,
Mhm.
you need the card.
No, the
Um,
card is helpful.
but I like Instacart a lot better because it you can order it like within 2 hours, and you can get it from like any store. Like I had to order something from Target the other day. Like I got it for free from Target, like whatever, Bed Bath and Beyond or GNC, like whatever it is.
How much is an
But yeah,
Instacart membership otherwise
I think it's like $80, something like that. $80 a year
per,
or like
per
hundred
year?
bucks a year. Yeah. But it's
It's still not
I
terrible,
love
but
like we share it, like my whole family shares it, and we all just like use it like crazy because it's so convenient. And like you can like where I live, there's no cheap grocery stores, but the like I'll order from like Key Foods in like Brooklyn, and
dude,
then
they have
they deliver it,
Morton
so I pay like
Williams
dirt
next to
cheap.
you.
But like
It's
I
so
actually,
expensive.
yeah,
And Apple is like $7.
literally, it's like literally like the Apple Store, literally.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I wanted to. I actually that's like one of my like I'd say the next 3 months I want to write a blog post on like what are the cheapest ways to buy back your time. So like we're grocery delivery, uh, like cleaning service, like basically like how do you automate like how what's the cheapest way to buy your time back for things that you don't want to do.
Hmm.
And I don't know, I feel like I've tried a ton of things and like have tried to optimize my system for the most part, but yeah, I don't know, I think it's a good experiment.
Hmm. I mean, even like just ordering clothes versus going into a store saves so much time.
Huge. And
The
buy
one
more
thing
shit
that I'm
quickly.
finding, like, I I haven't found a solution for not having a printer. Like, I need a
So
printer.
there's actually this company. I I'm like not being the plug for names, but there's a company that basically like sets up a network at like various coffee shops, restaurants, and stuff. And like you go in, you pay like $1, like you scan this QR code, and then you send your document to it, and it prints. So it's like a distributed like printer network, basically.
Yeah, but then I still gotta leave my crib. I don't like doing that. Because
Sure,
a
sure,
lot of like Amazon returns, they'll just pick it up for you, you know?
sure. I mean, you can also go to Whole Foods. Like usually, besides like one bad
Dude, a
case, I
lot of
usually go to
times you
Amazon.
can't do it. Dude, no, I've had a
Really
lot of cases recently where Whole Foods was not an option.
interesting.
But
Yeah, I don't
that is
know.
cool
They
though. That
gotta figure something out with that. Like,
I think they should
I
just
don't know.
send the return label with
A
every
return,
package, but that's a lot of
yeah,
paper.
a lot of places do that. Yeah. But I don't know. I feel like we're getting, hopefully, we're getting closer and closer to a place where like paper is not needed. Like,
Hmm.
um, I don't. Yeah. Besides like packages or random thing, I like almost never use paper. And like 5 years ago, that definitely wasn't the case, or
Hmm.
longer.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I journal a lot, but I don't need to print stuff otherwise.
Sure, sure. But that's like intentionally
Yeah.
like
Hmm.
wanting to use it, not like having to use it.
Yeah, having to. That's a fact.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny that we just haven't gotten rid of that need yet. Like they haven't figured out how to do returns because you do need a return label, but on the one hand, sending every package with a return label in it would be like wasteful.
Sure.
But on the other hand,
I
taking
guess what
time
could
to
be
walk to Staples and like print something is so annoying.
sure. I guess you could honestly like you already have to slap a QR code on it, right, or a barcode. If you have a smart enough system that says, "Hey, like this is returned," use the same barcode, and if you scan it again, it's seen as like it's recognized as return. There's definitely like I don't think it's a crazy complicated problem. I think you just have to like everyone has to get on board with it.
But it would just
Um,
there's a lot of like yeah, there's like the need for adoption at a pretty big scale.
yeah, yeah. And certain people
But
don't like
Amazon has the
using
resources to do it.
for sure, for sure. If anyone's gonna do it, like they will.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I do think it's interesting though, like the idea around like I feel like it's a 0 to 1 thing. Like the fact that you still need paper for even like a certain amount of cases means you still need like to buy this big printer. You need to spend a few $100. Like it's all it's like even though you only use it like 0.01% of the time of your life, like it's annoying that that is the case. You have to plan around the 0.01 instead of the average case.
That's why I like Naval's attitude, even though I think it just enables me in certain ways to be lazy sometimes. Like he's like, determine your aspirational hourly
Right.
rate, and then if something is below it, don't do it, automate it, or just don't do it. And he says like in my 20s, I never returned clothes, I never returned stuff I bought.
Yep.
It just wasn't worth the time. There's an argument for both sides, but I find myself falling into that category where like I just don't want to. Like you think about like I don't know. The other day I had to return something. I had to walk 20 minutes to Staples to print the label, and then go to the UPS store, stand in line. And it was like 45 minutes in total. Like what could I have done in that time?
Sure. No, I hear you.
First world problems.
For sure, but I do think it allows you to focus on the right things. Like I was thinking like about my lease and it went up like crazy and like still re-signed it. But I was like, honestly, like thinking about like having to
Your
go
location is so prime. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I was just like thinking it like I'm gonna go one, have to spend weeks looking for an apartment. Two, I'm gonna have to pay a broker's fee. Three, like I don't know what I'm getting into at this place. Like I could have roaches, whatever. Like I know what I'm getting with my place. Like I know what's to come. And like, to save a relatively small amount of like money, I was like, it's just a no-brainer. Like, I don't know. I just looking back on it, I was like, I'm very happy I made that decision because I am sure I'm dealing with headaches and like wouldn't have the freedom to go on this trip, etc. So, yeah, I think only looking back to those like decisions to take the more expensive route like makes sense.
Dude, yeah, the apartment thing is huge. Like, I got lucky because a friend is moving, and he was just like, "Yo, you want me to, like, pass over the apartment to you?" Because when I was starting to look, the amount of time. First of all, on Street Easy and all these other like websites,
Sure.
Zillow, blah blah blah, the pictures that they're taking are like overly flattering the actual apartments, like 99% of the time. And then you go, and it's like a tiny, dude. I went to dude. So there was this one apartment I really wanted on Bowery. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
It was like pretty big. Okay, it was on Bowery, and then the broker I was talking to hit me up. He's like, "Hey, a unit has become." This is literally what he said. "A unit's become available. Do you want to come in tomorrow?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I think we chilled this day actually. After I went to it, I think I came over.
I remember us laughing at it.
And so I go to stand outside, like he's like, meet me at the spot. So I stand outside and he meets me outside of the building. And he's like, okay, well, the apartment we're going to see is around the corner. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, but it's same management. As if that implies that the apartment is the same.
Right.
But he said it in such a way like, oh, the apartment's the same. But he's like, oh, yeah, it's the same management. Dude, we go. First of all, the dude who lived there, filthy. Like, ramen noodles all over the floor. Bathroom was like so dirty. We walk in, bro. It was a studio. The living space was no joke. smaller than my like childhood bedroom at my parents' place.
Right.
And like there's no
And the
way you
rent's
could
for the
even
roof.
fit it was 2,700. There's
Yep.
no way you could fit a couch and a bed and a desk. Like honestly, not even a queen size bed. A queen size bed, you couldn't have a desk or a couch, right?
Could
Kitchen
fit
is
ramen
like
noodles though, right?
you could fit ramen noodles, and then the guy is like, oh my, like just like the other apartment, so nice, good, amazing location. You could fit so much in here, good natural light, and I'm just like, dude, what are you smoking? Like, what is good? So he's like, do you want to see the other amenities? And I'm like, no, I'm good. He's like, you're not interested. I'm like, I'm not interested. Like, I don't want to waste your time. I'm not going to live here. And then he got
There's
pissed
Capri
and like
Suns, like yeah.
he got pissed, and I'm like, whatever. I get it. You're trying to make sale, but like he
Sure,
literally
sure.
pulled out the papers like he's you ready to sign. I'm like, no,
I mean, that's called fake it till you make it. Like,
dude.
but I mean, that's like it was interesting for a bit during COVID, like to see the power dynamic switch from like landlord slash agent to the renter, and it's just like obviously flipped 180. But like, I don't know. I think that's like a worth its weight in gold in like a microeconomic class of supply and demand. Like,
Uh-huh.
and beyond price, just like actually the power dynamic, like people getting free months, like being willing to be like, oh, can you just paint this before I move in? Like, whereas now it's like you go in this apartment, there could be like nails sticking out of the floor, like whatever mariachi band outside, like you're moving in. Like,
I still like I say this every episode. I wish people in New York understood that Miami is a good replacement for New York if it had the people. You
I mean,
know?
that's the whole thing. That's like that's why
No,
like
but it's
even
no,
here
no,
I'm
no, no,
like
no,
my
no,
like
no. No, because the thing is, New Yorkers. I think a lot of New Yorkers have a preconceived notion of what Miami is that's actually different than what it is, because you don't really get it if you go for a weekend and you go to like
sure,
Komodo and rent a boat and then go to the beach and go to a club. Like that's not what it
sure.
is. Yes,
I mean, it
that's
can
there.
be.
No, it can
But
be,
yeah,
but that would be like determining New York's lifestyle by
right, like Times
going to
Square.
Times Square and then Tao. Like that's not,
Sure,
it's like not New York. It
sure.
can be, but that's not 99% of New Yorkers' experience. And I have friends who have come here like, oh, I couldn't live in Miami. It's too party. It's too this. I'm like, you haven't given enough time. It's not profitable to do that much. But I wish people could just relocate here from New York because the lifestyle is, I mean, it's just so good.
Sure, sure. I think it'd be an interesting experiment if like I don't know. I mean, given people have the means to do it, like to really do some like city slash house rotations for like I don't know 1 month out of the year, like just coming down to Mexico City, like or like going to Kansas City or going to like Utah or like Chicago, whatever, and just people getting to experience new cities because I just feel like we get so entrenched in our lifestyles and so used to the like reality that our like city or where we are like forms for us, and like it's really nice to check out because I don't know, you just gain a whole new perspective on your own city and other cities as well. But obviously
Yeah.
logistically has some complications.
I do think I wonder what the minimum effective dose of time is to spend in the city to really get a feel for it. In my experience, the minimum is like 4 to 6 months. But that also could be just because that's what I've experienced. It could be less than that. Because when I was in New Zealand, was there for I was there for 6 months, but 4.5 of those months was in one place. And like,
Sure.
I really did I felt confident. I knew my way around the city. Like I could show if a friend came to visit, I could show them things that are both of better quality, that are places and things that are of better quality that are also you're not going to find on some like tourist guide,
Sure.
Um,
I
having local friends that are going to show you around places. Like, have you been to a local party? Like, for example, when we were in Mexico City, so there was four of us, right? It was myself, my girlfriend, and then a couple that was our friends. The guy that was in that couple of our friends, Joel, he had a friend, this woman, Andy, who has been living in Mexico City for a few months now, that he's known for a long time, and she's dating like a Mexico City native guy.
Native. Yeah.
And one night we wanted to go to this bar, and we ended up not being able to get in because it was packed. So he was like, "Let me take you to this place." He took us to a local salsa club.
Mhm.
In 1,000
Yeah, you said it
years,
was
like we
fire.
wouldn't have gone, and it was just
Right.
so fun.
Right.
Um,
I'll ask you for
and
the
it was
rec.
like all it was like people like there was teenagers there, and then there was people like in their 60s, and
Sure. It was like
vibe was,
Kubayacho, but
but like
but
way
even
more
crazier.
authentic, you know.
Yeah.
Not that no, I wouldn't say that that's not authentic, but like that, yeah.
Yeah.
But like there was a dance floor that was literally like an elevated platform in the middle of the room,
Right.
and
That's sweet.
the food was amazing, the drinks were amazing,
Right. No, I hear you. I
and
think that one, but once again, that's like some version of this principal agent problem of like not having relevant knowledge, even though that knowledge is like fairly easily accessible, right? If you have a connection or two, like it's a completely different trip experience, like places you get to see. And it's like David and I were talking about this, like that could be an interesting like app or website that like connects you with like a local who will like take you around and and I'm sure there are versions of
yeah,
that, but
but there is something about like commodification resistant experiences, like
for sure. But I think
experiences that you can't find on Infatuation or, you know, Travelers, blah blah blah. And what the app
I
you're
agree.
talking about, if that existed, it wouldn't necessarily be that because it would still be up to the discretion of the person you're connecting with. But it
Exactly.
also just creates an incentive, like, oh, this person is either paying me or I'm connecting with someone because I want a friend from some like a tourist friend and blah blah blah, and like I'm gonna
Sure.
show them things to impress them. And there is something that's just different about like you just meet someone, they're just like, here's what we're doing. Do you want to come with? You know?
Sure. Sure. Now we had the same like a similar thing where like my friend from Holland happened to be in Mexico City too, and we like met up, and one of their friends like lives here and's been like grew up here, and yeah, just like knew a ton of spots, like architects, so, like was very in with like I don't know a lot of different groups, and like took us out to like this really cool club, and like I don't know, we just had like a great night, and like 0% would we have found that place unless we knew them.
Mhm.
So it's just interesting that there's this like I don't know asymmetry of knowledge. Like if someone came to New York City or like Miami, right? Like and like whatever, we were cool with them or whatever. Like we could take them on a completely different, like really great, like unique experience, and like I don't know, like they would have an amazing time compared to like a normal trip. And like
Dude,
I
you
feel like we
remember
both would
like
be happy.
do you remember Phoebe's and B Bar? Where like all the interns would go who were from out of the city
Yeah, that's like a rite of passage though to like
to go there.
yeah.
I do remember I mean, to your point, we just said, I remember someone said that if you have already seen a movie, but you watch it, like you show it to someone and it's their first time, it's kind of like watching it for the first time. It's the closest you'll get again, and it's like close enough where it's a good experience. I think that's the same with if it's a good movie, right? I think that's the same with like showing someone around a city, right? Like
Sure.
there's something magical about going somewhere new and not having a map of the place downloaded in your head. And you and I are never going to experience that again in New York unless, you know, we get hit in the head. But
You get you eat one too many dirty water dogs, you lose your
oh my
sense of
God.
direction.
But I had a friend visiting, I don't know, like February or something. And we went to Emily. And then he's like, I need to get to 14th Street. And I was like, all right, bet. And we just started walking. He's like, you didn't have to look at a map. I'm like, no, I didn't have to look at a map. I know where to go.
Literally.
But he's like, I'm so overwhelmed by the city and the directions. And obviously felt that way in Mexico, feel that way when I go to a new city. Um, but there was something charming about showing him around and him like
Sure.
walking around, like looking like, where are
Yeah,
we right now? Oh,
starry-eyed.
we're
Yeah,
going this way. Yeah.
yeah. That's even like when Mecca. It's just fun
There's
to like even bring him to like a halal cart or whatever. Like,
Mhm.
yeah.
It's very fun. Yeah. It's crazy how afraid some people are of halal carts. Maybe with good
Bro,
reason.
Mexico
I don't
City.
know.
You have one meal on street cart meal in Mexico City. Like
Dude, we had street
halal
cart.
carts
We had
looking like,
Jenny's.
oh yeah, I mean, but street meat in New York looking like 11 Madison Park out there. Like,
Facts. Okay, so
but
I
I
recommended this show to you just because you
I
said 11 Madison Park. Let's get to it. Okay, what do you want to say?
I just want to say quickly that I found that like showing someone a city I love and I think mutually like great experience. Showing someone like a YouTube video or like movie, I feel like I
Oh,
don't like it because it's just so much pressure. And then like they're feeling
now the
pressure and you're
worst is
feeling pressure. It's like
comedy,
I hate
bro.
that. Oh yeah, comedy is just a dub. Like that. There's like very few comedians that you can be like, I'm very confident you're gonna find them funny. Like,
Yeah, because comedy is so polarizing on taste. And
sure,
then now there's like the whole political correctness aspect of it as well as like, do I know this person well enough to admit that I like this comedy that is like not politically correct? So I think the rule is just don't do that at all. Like,
sure,
or do it and like own the consequences. I think
sure,
like Naval said, wisdom. He defines wisdom as like just knowing the long term consequences of your actions. I think if we take out the long term part, just like everything is just know what the consequences of your actions are going to be and have that understanding be based in how reality works, not based on how you think things should work, you know.
mm-hmm.
I think that's an
Facts,
important point people need to keep in mind. Like, you can state your opinions about everything, but don't be upset when the consequences are outside of your immediate circle. People are not going to give you the benefit of the doubt, and if they don't agree with you, are not going to seek out your reasoning. They're probably just going
sure,
to be like make their judgments, you know.
sure. And I think there's also like we talk about leverage and scale a lot, right? And like there's scalable methods of having an opinion and not scalable methods. Telling one person something, I mean, yeah, they can spread that, but like if you post something online, like very quickly your opinion has gained a lot more traction. But yeah. So this
It's
show
all
that
about scale,
you recommended, give me the
bro.
beats.
This show, it's called The Bear. It's on Hulu, but I think it's an FX show. The reason I thought of it is because you mentioned 11 Madison Park. Um, and basically, this show is about this guy who is the head chef at the top restaurant in the world, but a family member of his dies and in his will leaves the family restaurant to the guy. So he decides, and the family restaurant is like a Philly cheesesteak like joint.
Gotcha.
So he decides like abruptly to leave his career and then come to this restaurant and try to like fix it up as the chef. And you kind of start the show where like all the people who were working there were kind of like this family. It wasn't just family, but also like the people working there have this atmosphere. He's trying to bring sort of the extremely high level principles of like how to organize a kitchen, how to introduce systems and like routine and sort of rules to how we run this. And on top of that, there's this whole drama of like what's happening in the family, but it takes you into a glimpse. It like you not having worked in the restaurant industry,
Sure.
it seems very believable.
Okay.
I don't know if it is it
Interesting.
or isn't, but seeing it just seems very believable. And it's like unlike any TV show I've ever seen.
Sure.
It almost doesn't feel like a TV show because it just feels
Is
like
it
you're brought
like
into these people's lives.
is it the sense of seeing what it's like as a restaurant? Is it more like a chef's table approach or more of just like point of
No. It's
view
like
of just like
anxiety. It's
gotcha.
like, oh, we have like 50 million orders to produce, to fulfill, and we are like not making any money. On top of that, the people in this restaurant don't want to adapt to the better ways of doing things, which is like everyone wears the same apron, you know, like the same color apron.
Sure.
Everyone has like there's a hierarchy in terms of like what tasks everyone is going to do. You're just going to do that. When we prep, you're going to do vegetables. I'm going to do this. We're going to clean all of our stations like after we use them.
Yeah.
Like all the like just this meticulous like routine system that he learned working in like the best restaurants in the world.
Sure.
Now bringing that to like
mom and pop's chopped cheese, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
And it's so interesting. And it's like just a lot of, yeah, it's a very, very good show. I think you'd like it. It's pretty short. It's only like 8 episodes. I think you would like it. And then also over the weekend, we watched the new Nicolas Cage movie, which is just so good. I mean, it was close to a 10 out of 10. Like, it's so good.
Did Nicolas Cage crush it or no? I don't know. So is it like is it like Making of John like what's it, Jacob Malkovich or John Malkovich, like where he's like playing
kind of, yeah, like, he plays himself
multiple roles, yeah.
But the story, no, he just plays only himself, but it's like it's very campy in the sense like it's in on its, yeah, it's a meta film, kind of, but it's basically like Nicolas Cage playing Nicolas Cage as a washed up actor who this very strange opportunity comes up for him, and it's very engaged. It's so good.
Interesting.
You should watch it. It's like a good thing. You probably have to rent it on Amazon Prime. I think that's what we did, or maybe Apple TV. But I would, if you have a night in where you and David are feeling like watching a movie,
sure,
highly recommend it. It's a good bro movie, also.
Okay,
very good.
I will check it out. We definitely don't have anything in the queue for like content like that. So, interesting. The what you said before about the cooking situation brought 2 things to mind. One was like a lot of friends from college like came from overseas, like went to school here, worked in the States for a few years, and then like went home and like, you know, work in the family business, so like do something along those lines. And like I wonder what that, like how closely that relates, because like there's like these modern ways of doing things, and like, I don't know, working at top tier companies and bringing these practices to like home, and not that I'm sure they're run very well, but like I'm sure these are like brand new ways of doing things. So I'd be curious to hear like their relationship to that. The other thing I was going to say was I watched this video about this chef that I think he actually did work at 11 Madison Park, and then he like his like mom got sick or something like that, so he was like spending more time home, and he was like, okay, I'm like leaving this career, but he still wanted to cook, so he like opened up like a restaurant downstairs, and
in his like home.
It's in New York. It's in somewhere in like Queens or like Brooklyn or something, and he just opened like a little, like, I think it was a ghost kitchen basically, and made like this special like Chinese or Korean like fried chicken, and like Michelin star version of like, you know, dive food, and like they sold like hotcakes, and like, I don't know, just like an interesting story. It sounds very similar of like going from this prestigious, you know, type of environment to like a shack. So I wonder if that guy was like tapped to like be a source or anything, because apparently it's pretty famous now. But yeah.
It's crazy, dude. The show, it would be like, imagine the tension of bringing, like, you work at Apple, you have all this like agile Scrum sort of methodology, and you bring it to like a hardware store on Canal Street. That's what it would be like.
Right.
And I just think, take my word for it, watch a few episodes. It won't make sense at first, but the way that they control like tension and then like resolution is just amazing. And that the script is one of the best scripts I've ever seen in a TV show, like dialogue and shit.
Interesting. I wonder, is the writer like famous, or is it just like,
I mean, he might be
got a chance, and he's about to be potentially.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty indie show. It could not, I could see it not taking off, but also like I can't imagine if anyone makes it through like 3 episodes that they could not like love the show.
Interesting. Okay. I will definitely peep it. I'll give it 1 episode. I'm not
Nah, give it
big
2 episodes.
2 episodes. Okay, 30
They're like
minutes
30
or
minutes though. They're not like
okay,
an
okay.
hour. Yeah, yeah.
I'll give an hour. Interesting. Have you? I know you've been feeling under the weather. Have you read anything good? Watched anything good? Any like notable content in the last week, 2 weeks?
I read Tim Kennedy's book. I think
Which
it's
one?
excellent. Tim Kennedy. So you know who Tim Kennedy is? Former UFC
I know
fighter,
that.
former Green Beret. Still does a lot of volunteer work with the military. So
What's the name of
like
the book?
special forces. It's called Scars and Stripes. It came out like 2 weeks ago. Scars and Stripes, and just a beast of a human. But his stories are, I think it's definitely worth reading the book. I mean, you get an inside look into some really cool experiences that he had in the military, also like what it's like being an extremely high level fighter.
Sure.
But something that I thought about is that he starts the book, to paraphrase, I mean, it's like a memoir. So he talks about his childhood and he says, like, I was raised in the 80s, which means that, I grew up without any parental supervision and was kind of left to my own devices.
Sure.
And I have this thing where I kind of mourn the sort of my projections of what children don't have anymore because
Sure.
of one, technology, social
Technology,
media, but
but
on
also
the
people
other
being
hand,
scared.
people being way more scared despite the world being probably the safest, when I was a kid, and I don't think we've actually ever talked about this, so I'm curious to know your experience too, but when I was a kid, granted I grew up in a place where it lent itself to like parents feeling okay about it, but dude, I didn't have a phone. I could go out when I was like 7 years old by myself and then just come home at
Right.
sundown, My
Right.
parents didn't, I mean, there weren't a lot of places I could be, but they didn't know where I went,
Sure.
And I
And
was
you
like
just took care of
completely
yourself.
immersed
Exactly.
in my childhood,
Yep. And you have like
completely
a
immersed.
squad of friends, like you guys, like
Oh my God.
I don't know.
And we
For
would
us, it
just
was like
roll,
played.
bro.
Yep. Yep.
Like
We would
all
play
these
like
adventures.
yep, like baseball, soccer, like I don't. You just play like mad sports. Go like take bikes around, like I don't know these things.
And I just remember as kids, like we had such imagination where we would just come up with these adventures and shit and like just tasks that we did that I wonder, and I don't know, but I just wonder, do kids do that anymore? Like I know when I go like to see my parents where they live the same place I grew up, I don't see kids around the way we were around when we were kids, like
Sure.
biking, mobbing at like 30, 40 kids deep, like playing
I mean, I think
manhunt,
it's
capture the
gone like
flag,
digital,
all these
like
things.
in many
Yeah.
ways. Like people love, like kids love playing like Minecraft, right? So like you'll
Yo,
play
Minecraft is
capture the
fun.
flag in Minecraft, like or you'll play
Call of
some
Duty.
version of that in whatever Call of Duty or what's the other one
Roblox, that weird
whatever
game over there.
yeah but like it's like the same experience just taken digital
Mhm.
first, just I'm sure has very hefty trade-offs, but yeah, I don't know, it's like a completely different world, and like I feel like you can't get in as much trouble, I mean maybe that's not true, online as you can in real life, but like
Mhm.
we used to like do the most like wild shit. Like we used to like what we started getting into golf, and what we would do is like we would literally tee up golf balls and tee it over the street, over someone's house, and try to like hit it over the house into like their backyard basically, and like would pin the house like multiple times, like ding dong ditch,
Dude, Zing
like
Dog Ditch was so fun.
yeah. We used to throw like snowballs at cars, like
Oh,
I
we
don't
used
know.
to throw mad snowballs at cars.
One of my favorite, we used to like me and my friend, we used to like pick up like acorns and stuff and then like ambush like siblings and stuff, like just like chaos. But yeah, those are good
And
times.
you would just go, right? Your mom would be like, just come home at this time, and you would just go, right?
Yeah, exactly. And
Because
it
she
would be
knew who you
like
were with. Like, you'd be with
yeah
Fuvio and whatever, like your
yeah
boys.
and it's like suburbs, like you have more space, but it's also like there's only so many like places kids can go, right? Like, but yeah, it was
Bro,
a
we
lot of
used to
fun.
get up to. I just remember also the feeling, and you do get this feeling when you travel, but as a kid, like the whole world was unknown. So like going down the street was an adventure. You'd be like, oh,
Sure,
that lady who lives in that apartment, is weird, and stay away from her. We just come up with these stories, and then did you like? I remember just running away from shit because we made up a story that made us scared. Like, do you
sure,
remember running away, like booking it, like, oh my,
yeah, yeah,
he's
over nothing, yeah,
over, bro, and sometimes over something, like, dude.
sure.
But
Throw like a
like,
glass
I can
bottle or something.
remember, bro. Like, I can remember, dude. One time, Sasha, the story is so beast. We went to like Jamba Juice or some shit, and then we're walking to Pedro's. Have you been to Pedro's parents' place?
Yeah.
No, we're going to Pedro's place, and on the Upper East Side. So like we're going through all these like blocks with townhouses, and you know how the townhouses in the city, like they usually have the staircase up to the
Yeah,
front door, but then they have like the under staircase to like
yep,
the
yep.
where the kitchen is and shit. So there's a guy sitting on his like desk doing work on a MacBook, window open, no like mesh net, right?
Sure.
Sasha, he goes, yo, watch this. He opens the lid off the Jamba Juice and just throws it in his
Chucks
door.
it,
He goes,
yeah,
book it, book it, book it. And we're running
yeah.
maximum speed. And then like after 4 blocks, Sasha's like, yo, guys, I think I dropped my wallet. So we backtracked, bro. The wallet was like
Right next to
100 feet down the street of where like he
right.
threw this, and like, bro, we would just do shit. I mean, that's like not cool to do stuff like
No, I
that,
know,
but
but as a kid, that's like you can't get the blood
bro,
pumping more than that.
dude, just running away from danger. Like,
Yeah,
imagine danger as a kid is just
yeah, yeah. We used to play this game. So my neighbor and I were like boys, and our other neighbor we were all like boys, and the guy that lived next to me had a little brother, and his name was Khan, and we literally had a game called Kill Khan, and the whole point of the game was we had these like little like basketballs like this big, and the
mini
goal of
balls,
the game was to like nail
peg
him in
him.
the nuts. In the nuts. Like was the like you only scored points if you nailed it in the nuts.
Was he in on
And
it?
like no, I mean he just wanted to hang out like older brother and whatever. And like he like literally the target of the game was just to like it was hilarious.
Bro, we
Like
used to do shit where it was literally like, say it's me, you, Julian, Isaac, and Anton, right? And we're like, yo, I'd go to you, I'd be like, yo, when I give you the signal, we're just gonna run mad fast, and we're gonna ditch Isaac.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, we used to do that.
and I'd just be like, yeah, it's like 3, 2. So we'd recruit everyone except Isaac, and he'd be
Right.
like, yo, what's good with you guys? Like, why are you laughing and shit?
And then
And
you
we're
just
like, no,
dip.
we're chilling. And it'd be like, go, and then we just book it. And then
Yeah,
he'd
yeah.
catch us and start beating us up, like
Right. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, one of our neighbors, this other neighbor that we used to like boys, but also like everyone would just like,
mess
you
with
know,
each other. Yeah.
yeah. We used to play basketball a lot. And one time we like, oh, yo, come over, and like to play basketball. And like all of us, we had like these like, airsoft guns with like are hidden in the bushes, bro. Like 5 people. He comes out and just like as soon as he gets like close enough, we just
Bang,
unload
bang,
on him.
bang.
Yeah, just pop, pop, pop. And like we have like full like someone had like a sniper, someone had like an automatic gun, and we would just light him up and he would just like book it all. And we would be crying, bro. It's so funny.
Yeah, we did stuff like that. I mean, it's just, bro, we had rock fights. One time we broke a window,
Yeah,
bro. And I
yeah.
wondered, so Tim Kennedy, he talks about the shenanigans he used to get up to as a kid. Like, they used to like hunt in the woods, like, because he grew up in
Like Virginia or something. Like
no, he grew up in Ojai. No, slow. He grew up in San Luis Obispo. Um, and he's talking about like, this opening story of the book is how when he was a kid, him and his friends hunted a legit fugitive that had escaped from like prison.
Sure.
And when they found him, they're like 12, and then they end up finding him in this like weed field,
Sure.
and he's like 9 feet tall, and they just book it like when they actually find him, there's shit.
Did they call the cops? They get him like.
I don't know. I don't remember, but I just like it's that reading that just made me really think about
Nostalgic, yeah.
like the amount of fun I had as a kid, and the fact that like when I hang out with my childhood friends and we get to talk. I mean, you've met them. Like we're just howling in laughter, right? Like howling in laughter. And I'm sure
like
it's the same with
shit,
you when you chill with your boys.
Yeah, and like bad shit did happen. Like there were times people got in trouble, people got hurt, whatever.
Man.
Bro, we used to like fish a lot because we live like pretty close to a lake. The little brother, I mean, I guess it's payback. So we would always fish, whatever, get like hooks in your hand, whatever. But one time he like wasn't looking at all and like went to cast. The line wrapped around my neck and then he just casted. So like full force, like ripped the line back. My like first day, I think it was like 6th or 7th grade, I had this crazy scar around my neck. And like when I came home from it, I was like bleeding completely down my neck. Like, and it was just the most brolic looking scar ever. And my like I think my mom was like out of town and my friend's mom was like taking care of it. She's like, your mom is gonna fucking beat my ass. But it was great. But like whatever, like no one, like everyone's fine. Like it's little, you know. But yeah, that's
Bro, we used to.
the
Damn.
good
and I just wonder, what are these kids doing these days? Yes, they probably have their own shit, like playing Fortnite or whatever, and it's fun. Don't get me wrong, like
sure.
But I remember even when we were kids, video games were like bringing us together in person. Like we go to someone's crib and play
Smash Bros.
Smash Bros. Let's play Mario Kart. Like very social, you know.
Sure.
Damn.
Yeah, I don't know.
I had such a good childhood. Sounds like you did too. Like such a good childhood.
Yeah, it's mad fun. Mad fun.
Oh man.
Fuck. Yeah, the good old days. Well,
yeah.
I guess it's made us who we are, for better or for worse. Yeah. But it sounds like an interesting book, and that sounds like a crazy way to open.
You should read it.
Yeah.
You should read it.
Yeah. I just finished. I just read this book. It was from that the founder of Square. Of Stripe. Patrick Collison. Yeah. And it's called Out of the Shadow of Mao, and it talks about like basically just talks about like what the political climate is like in China, and what like going from a country that was communist / like fascist to now, you know, more capitalistic, and like still has these reminiscences and like still very core parts of the country that are, you know, from the past, and just talking about like, I don't know, what is in store for the country and kind of like what the general like sentiment is there, and like I don't know, it's just really interesting and like put things into perspective in a very interesting way that like I don't know, we only read headlines about China, and like it was just like really interesting because it felt like very like on the ground. Obviously it's talking about like very intense events, but it was just really interesting. And yeah, just like a college class in one book basically. So.
Okay, it's on my list. It's one of his 5s, right?
It's like one of the, and I would say it's like, it's not like mind blowing or changing in that way, but I think it's just like, it is so
really good,
informative, and like, yeah. So parts are slow, but yeah, overall interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Should we wrap things up?
Yeah, we've gone over an hour.
We're over an hour, so.
Yeah. Damn, that childhood conversation. We should start with that next time. Just tell stories.
Facts. That's the episode name will be something like the boys' childhood or whatever.
Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's getting late. I have to eat dinner.
Facts. It's like 10, right, for you? Or like 9? 10?
10.
Yeah, 11 over here.
Facts. Well, good chat. The boys are back,
bro.
And we're not far away from in-person episodes. So
yeah, like maybe 3 weeks at this point.
3-4 weeks. Yeah.
Just don't die.
always top of mind. But
All right, bro.
all right, fam. Much love. Peace.
Love. Peace.